Welcome to a new podcast. This is Everything with Everett, a talk show podcast hosted by Everett McConnaughey from Boise, Idaho. The purpose of this production is to share thoughts, voices, and information to further a discussion on who we are as individuals, communities, and a global presence. Everything with Everett is open to all topics of discussion: faith, religion, history, finances, and well, everything. Follow, like, listen, and subscribe. Visit everettmcconaughey.com. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 2 of this week. If you didn't hear the other one, this is a new setup this week. I am breaking the podcast up from a single 30-minute episode of rambling facts and news into 2 podcast episodes, both 15 minutes each, so still get 30 minutes of content each week. It should help keep me on point, keep me from rambling, and keep me moving forward. Also, I'm going to have one called Everything with Everett in the News that will be distinguished by some red on the YouTube video channel, as well as on podcasts on the episode art. There's going to be some red on that. This episode is In the Know, and that is to bring you something that's either educational, uplifting, something you should know, a discussion to help you kind of understand something better. I can't say it's always going to be a more positive outlook, but I will be a little bit more intentional about avoiding like trigger points like news and Trump. And obviously once we get into the Biden presidency, then we're going to have at least 4 years of a lot less triggers. So welcome to a new setup. This one is the In the Know podcast. Today I am wanting to kind of go over some quotes by FDR. He was a Democrat president who served from, let me pull this up here, 33 to, or 37 to 45. Basically, hang on. Just a second, stand by. Yes, 33. 33 to 45, he was our president, served 2 terms, and was apparently, a lot of people were wanting him to have a 4th term. Or not a 4th term, a 3rd term, but because at the time there was no constitutional requirement that presidents could only have 2 terms like there is now. So thank goodness that was added at some point, about 50 years later. Anyway, so I would like to go over some of his quotes that I think just really exude what it means to be a good, balanced president of our country. I'm not saying that everything he did was great or worthwhile, but he definitely did a lot more good than we see in a lot of our candidates and presidents lately. I think that our leaders, congressmen, representatives, our presidents, we have a real problem, I think, in our government where it used to be an honor to serve the people. And it feels like now they pander to you to get your vote because they know that that's how they get into office. But once they're in office, they kind of don't care, and they do kind of whatever they want until it's like, oh, it's time for re-election. And like it comes to mind like Jim Risch, Idaho, kind of like, oh, I did this. Here's a photo op of me handing a calendar to an amazing family. Like, it's great for their scrapbook, and it's like in the moment, it's like, oh, they really did do a good job. Meanwhile, like, no one seems to remember or wants to call them out for like the 3 years of suffering. In the meantime, like suddenly, like they highlight the good parts and then they, re-earn your vote. I saw a statistic recently that was talking about, well, not recently, about a year ago. It said that our elected officials have the highest disapproval rate, but also the highest re-election rate. It doesn't make sense. Like, Education and mental illness. Check it out. Educate yourself. We need to invest some money in our people and our populace. So, let me go ahead and transition that over. Awesome. All right. So I found this awesome site. It's called Goodreads. I guess it's like a book site. But it's got some really good quotes from FDR. And obviously some of them are, dated for when he was in office. Again, from 33 to 45. There was the Great Depression happened in that time, the New Deal, World War II happened. I mean, a lot of stuff took place during his presidency. He was a Democrat, so I think that kind of goes with it a bit. I've just always thought it was kind of like, oh, Republicans, Democrats, they just have their own sides. But I'm seeing as I'm getting older that my grandparents on both sides of my family were Democrat. And I can see why they were. Apparently my late grandfather, the reason someone asked him why he was Democrat, and he said that the Democrats are the only ones that are willing to help out the little guy. And I don't think that that's totally true anymore. I think there's a lot of corporate Democrats these days that serve large interests beyond the people. So there's the same issues that happen in the Republican Party are happening in the Democrat Party in my mind. I definitely think that the greater DNC has an agenda of who they want in office, and they don't truly listen to the people. I think Bernie Sanders should have been the nominee in 2016, this year, or last year, 2020. But instead, they chose Hillary, and she lost because nobody wanted Hillary. And then, he doesn't fit the model. We don't want to look too progressive, too far left. And so they put, kind of more middle of the road Biden, and he's toned his things. I just think that Democrats as a whole have a mindset to move forward, and it's more of a healthy mindset. Anyway. Going on to our former president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Anyway, some of these quotes are just really great. Got them on the screen if you're watching the YouTube version, or you can just hear me read them aloud on the podcast. This one really caught my eye. It says, remember always that all of us, and you and I especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionists. I think that we all lose track of that we are all at some point an immigrant. We didn't just appear here like mist. We all came from somewhere else. England, Ireland, Scotland, This one's really good. I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made. I really like that one because I've heard something else that people don't like you if you stand for something that goes against their moral fiber. Another one kind of similar to that is some people won't appreciate you because your light disturbs their demons. When you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. I love that one. I can't wait to have kids. As you know, I'm engaged and will be getting married this year. I want to start a family, and I'm not going to be able to, provide all the material items. No parent really can, but that's not my focus. I have a huge, basically bank account of knowledge and skills that I want to impart to my children or to our children. And I want them to be really good people. I want them to think about things and know what they're saying and why they're saying it, and to think about somebody else and really, take into account their existence. Going on, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. A nation that destroys its soils destroys itself. Forests are the lungs of our land, purifying the air and giving fresh strength to our people. God, he's like addressing global warming right there. Like, oh my God, jeez. Our ancestors didn't have the technology that we do, but man, they were so smart. Goes on and says, I am not the smartest fellow in the world, but I can sure pick smart colleagues. You are what you surround yourself with. The liberty of democracy is not safe if people tolerate the growth of private power to a point where it becomes stronger than the democratic state itself. That is its essence of fascism. Ownership of government by an individual, by a group, or any controlled private power. Damn, called out. Special lobbyists, that's where we are these days. We do not have our own ownership. To reach a port, we must set sail. Sail, not tie an anchor. Sail and not drift. Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education. Books cannot be killed by fire. People die, but books never die. No man and no force can abolish memory. In this war, we know books are weapons, and it is part of your dedication always to make them weapons of man's freedom. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Let us move forward with strong and active faith. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. Happiness is not in the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement, in the thrill of creative effort. If you treat people right, they will treat you right. 90% of the time. There are many ways of going forward, but only one way of standing still. Presidents are selected, not elected. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it, frankly, and try another. But above all, try something. Be sincere, be brief, be seated. Men are not prisoners of fate, but only prisoners of their own minds. We have always known that heedless self-interest was bad morals. We now know that it is bad economics. A conservative is a man with two perfectly good legs who, however, has never learned to walk forward. I totally agree with that. Freedom means the supremacy of human rights everywhere. Our support goes to those who struggle to gain those rights and keep them. Our strength is our unity of purpose. To that high concept, there can be no end, save victory. Repetition does not transform a lie into truth. Immediate example, our current president, Mr. Donald Trump. All right, well, thank you for joining me for In the Know. A bit more of a positive take on something you should know, something we should discuss. Hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening. Join the conversation. Send a text message or leave a voicemail at 208-391-2808. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and several podcasting platforms. All the information at everettmcconaughey.com. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Was that a thumbs up? Please be sure to like and subscribe. Also, click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. You can find out more about my Facebook page, Twitter account, and podcast at everettmcconaughey.com. Also, if you have any comments on today's episode, go ahead and leave it in the comments discussion down below, or you can call or text 208-391-2808. Thanks.